How's it going, guys? My name is Doe. Hope you're doing good. In this video, I'll be showing you guys how to slay the Torgadoro, which is the newest behemoth in Dauntless. It's a giant fire gorilla thing, and it is really tough to slay. Like, this is a hard behemoth to kill, so I figured some of y'all might need some help because this is just a rough one. Now, the first thing I want to go over are going to be the movesets or the attacks that Torgadoro has, because it has a pretty decent amount. I think roughly 11 attacks. And they're all somewhat intricate, and they have things that you can do to sort of not get absolutely destroyed. So the first attack I want to cover is one that is two parts. The first is where Torg drags his hands in the earth and lifts lava out of it, and also jumps, kinda. Now the second part is where he comes crashing down. The main thing to keep in mind about this attack is your positioning, because if you're too close to Torg, you want to dodge the very first part, which is when its hands go into the ground. If you're a bit further away, don't worry about dodging this and instead dodge the second part of the attack, which is where it comes crashing down. And sometimes it actually won't hit you at all, but that is not that often, so definitely be aware of your positioning. Now for the next attack, this is going to be a very simple one. All that's going to happen is Torg will stand on its hands, to do a handstand, and then lift his body in the air, and then slam into the ground butt first. And the main thing to watch out for is the booty. If you can dodge that, you're good, because nothing else will really hit you. You can sometimes get hit by some random active frames, but that's not really the main thing here. It's just dodge the booty attack, and then when you do, you get some decent uptime on DPS and just damage, and that's a pretty important thing. So try not to dodge by panicking if you see him go in the air. Know you have some time to wait to dodge the booty slam. The third attack is something I'm going to call the snag and drag, because Torg is trying to snag a gamer and then drag them. It's pretty self-explanatory in the name, but the way it works is Torg will start off with one of his arms pulled back and his hand open. After that, he'll lunge forward and try and grab somebody. It's normally the person he's looking at, so there's that. But he'll lunge forward and try and grab you. If he ends up grabbing you and you're playing solo, then you're pretty much just dead. So that's the rough stuff with that. There are some edge cases, but I don't feel like listing those because I'll make the video longer. Anyway, moving forward, if you're playing in a group, your teammates can boop this attack, but if the monkey ends up killing you before they can save you, you just die. And the time they have to save you is very low. So the way you interrupt this attack is doing damage with attacks that can boop normally. Doing enough damage to those attacks will boop the monster. That's how damage thresholds work. Now, if you end up dodging the attack, you'll get rewarded because Torg will just lunge forward, miss you, and then be on his back rolling around. During that time, you can hit him and do some damage for free, so it's a pretty good time. The fourth attack I want to list is one called, well, I'm going to call it Falcon Punch. It's not really called that, but hey, I get to name things here. It's my video. But it's Falcon Punch, and this is where Torgadoro will wind back a fist and then punch you really, really fast. This attack is actually kind of crazy because even if you think you dodge it correctly, you're going to get hit because you have to dodge a little bit beforehand because it's that fast of an attack. Trust me, I've been dodging a little bit. I'm like, wow, I feel like I dodged that right, but you have to dodge a bit early because of how fast this attack is. It is wild. So, pretty straightforward. If you see it cock back its hand and it's closed, be ready to dodge very, very fast. That's all there is to it. Just like Malkarian, Torgadoro also has a Lasso mode attack. What that means is there's an attack that Torgadoro does that creates a Aether vent in the ground, and you can get on it, go in the air, and lasso Torgadoro. The difference is it's not as useful on Torg as it is on Malkarian. But the way this attack works is Torgadoro will start slamming around on the ground in like a semicircle, and I think it slams around 4 times. And all these slams can hit you, but the main ones to watch out for are going to be the 3rd and 4th slam. Once the event's created, you can go ahead and ride it if you want to, but I will say that the only part you can lasso onto is going to be the head, and there's only ever going to be one vent created. So let the person that has the most stagger potential in your party ride the Torgadoro, because that person will get the most value. Since you're hitting the head, doing more stagger damage, you've got a striker player or a hammer player, they can do some work and hopefully close out a stagger during that mode. Next up, we have the Aether mode, and normally I would cover the Enraged mode before the Aether mode, but in this case, I feel like most players will encounter the Aether mode before they do the Enraged mode, because this behemoth, like I said, is really tough. So the way this Aether mode works is Torg will go to one of 3 spots at the edge of the arena. It'll slam one fist into the freaking Earth's crust, creating a magma fissure of some sort, it'll bring both his hands into that magma fissure and pull them out, creating magma mittens. And I know this terminology might sound complicated, but most technically, advanced things do. So just keep up. Once the magma mittens are out, aka the fire gauntlets, because that's what they are, in all honesty, you will have a couple things happen. The first is if you get hit by these mittens, you'll be set on fire until they stop glowing orange. The second is they will actually act as scarn armor for Torgadoro, but just the gauntlets, nothing else turns into stone like that. The cool thing though is that Torg's next attack can actually counter its own Aether mode, or at least its own magma mittens or gauntlets, by removing them. And to explain that real quickly, the next attack is the clap attack. And if you've ever heard the phrase, "I'm gonna clap those cheeks," well, Torg has been studying it religiously for the past decade or so. And Torg has also just unlocked the Aether Strikers, so he's going to clap your cheeks. Because he has Aether Strikers and a mix of the hammer. It's actually kind of wild. When he claps, he creates tremors. But this attack can be dodged in a couple of ways, and the main one being to just not be close to it, because there's a cap on the distance of the tremors, which is kind of nice, and it is much shorter than most tremors in the game at the moment. But if you want to dodge it, if you're really close to Torg, just dodge forward and actually dodge towards Torg to avoid the tremors. If you're in the middle, like in a mid-range, you're gonna want to try and dodge to the left or the right, because you'll probably still get hit, but your best chance is dodging to the side. If you're far away from Torg, you can just dodge backwards or dodge to the left or right, up to you. But those are the main ways to dodge the attack. Now there is one tip I can give y'all, and that is that every third clap Torg makes, he will knock himself over. And I'm not sure if he's breaking his gauntlets when he does this, but I'd assume he is. Anywhooser, moving on to the Enraged state, this is something you'll see more often when you get more power boosts, which give you more damage, or when you get more confident when you're fighting Torgadoro. But the Enraged state, no matter how confident you are, is super freaking fast. It's actually so fast that even if you dodge the beginning of it, you'll get hit by the Enraged aura. And to describe this attack, Torg will just really quickly slam the ground, I think twice, and then pop its Enraged aura, and it's enraged. But it is just so fast that I feel like the play here is to roll backwards. If you see it slamming its fist really fast, if you can dodge that, do your best to roll backwards, because rolling forwards means you'll get hit by the Enraged state, unless you have a Chainblade Q, or a Chainblade special, Reaper's Dance, or if you have the Sword special, Avenging Overdrive. Those might save you from taking the damage of the Enraged aura, but I don't know, it's so fast. Another attack is pretty fast, which I should have mentioned earlier, but I kind of just didn't realize I didn't mention it. But this is going to be something called the Torgnado. That's not the official term, but it is now. And this is where Torg will pretty much smack its gauntlets together or fists together and then spin like a Beyblade. This form of attack is known as an unstable attack, and that just means it's interruptible. It'll actually show you, has little icons on it. But to interrupt this attack, it is not like many other interrupt attacks in the game at all. In fact, it's the first of its kind. And this actually has a dodge skill check. So to boop it, you can't hit the outside of the Beyblade. Instead, you must dodge into it and hit the legs. Hit the little toes of Torg to boop it. That's how it works. But if you want to dodge this attack, I would suggest looking at where it's making connection with the ground, little sparks, and try and dodge at that point. So when that gets close to you, press your dodge button and then try and swing at it. And I will say weapons that are, like most weapons, have a pretty good time booping it. Weapons that I imagine will not have an easy time booping it are going to be repeaters for sure, and also the axe. I'm saying the axe because the axe is very slow, and you don't really get much time to hit it once you dodge through the spinning thing, if you manage to do that. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of rough. Weapons that have a really easy time doing this are chain blades, sword, weapons like that. And speaking of dodging, the next two attacks are pretty wild. Mostly the last one, but the next one is also kind of strange sometimes to dodge. But I'll talk about the Fireball Toss. This is a pretty straightforward attack like some of these attacks have been, but Torg will have one fist planted on the ground, and then with the other one, it'll be reaching into the crusts of the earth to scoop out a fireball and shock put it towards you. It does a decent amount of damage. I feel like if you don't have power boosts at all, you'll probably get one shot if you're not running tough +3 or +6. So be wary of that, because it does hurt. Now the last attack is yet another skill check on Torgadoro. And this is a really cool attack because this is the first time a behemoth will be using its environment to dish out some damage to slayers. And the way this attack works is Torg will run to the middle of the arena, and then it'll go to a pretty tall point in the volcano. I think it's the tallest point. And it'll climb all the way up there, be perched for a little bit, and then do a giant cannonball, landing near the Aether vent and dealing damage from that. And also, a little bit after this, it'll do a giant aura explosion that I'm pretty sure covers the entire arena, but I haven't been at the edge to test this. But it does go a pretty long way, and it is a pretty difficult thing to dodge. You can iframe it, so don't be too worried about that, but it is a pretty decent skill check. Now, if you're playing the sword, the skill check does not exist if you have Avenging Overdrive. You just press Q, you won't get hit, call it a day. But yeah, for most other weapons, you gotta learn to dodge that, or just take the damage, which if you don't have power boost, again, I think you'll get one shot. So until you get those, you gotta be playing pretty well, or either be stacking up on freaking tough or whatnot. And that actually wraps up the moves for Torgadoro. I feel like I covered most of the things that I've at least experienced and the tips that I have at the moment. There will probably be some more things discovered, so definitely stay tuned to either my channel or other channels that cover Dauntless, because there'll be some more things found out. But that is the end of this video. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, make sure to leave a like, perhaps comment, and maybe consider subscribing for more Dauntless content and other gaming content in the future. And if you want to support my channel and me, then you can use my creator code, which is OhDough, in the Epic Games Store or in the in-game Dauntless Store. Doing either one helps me out a ton, and when you buy stuff, I get a small kickback. If you don't use my code, use someone's code, because it is very helpful and it costs you nothing extra. But yo, that's the video, y'all. Hopefully you have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.